chaos. It's something we talk about all the time, but when you're actually in the midst of the chaos and you have to find your peace, in the midst of the noise and you need to find your noiselessness, that's when the theoretical lessons become very practical. So tonight the universe has given us the wonderful testing ground, experiential ground of, can you actually meditate anywhere in the midst of anything? Can you meditate in the midst of a Bollywood production chaos? You know, when people ask why the cow is so holy in India, a lot of times foreigners ask, why do you worship the cow? And of course there's beautiful reasons around Kamdenu and all of the beautiful things that a cow gives us and takes nothing back. But for me, on a personal level, that love for the cow, that real reverence for her, is much less for the products that come from her body and much more for her ability to be calm in the midst of the Delhi freeway. Right? I mean, you drive through these big cities and cars and rickshaws and whatnot and motorcycles, and in the midst of it, the cow is just lying there. She's not sleeping. She's just there. And cows are actually really intelligent creatures. So it's not that she's stupid and doesn't know that she's in the middle of a freeway or could get hit. But she's got that ability to just be quiet and peaceful, even in the midst of utter chaos. And so that's actually what makes me fold my hands and bow to the cow. And so tonight we've been given our own opportunity to experience the ability to anchor in satsang in the midst of drama. We'll begin, as always, with a question that came in advance, and then open it up to any questions that anyone here may have. My faith is really shaken, and I'm not sure what to do. My inclination has always been toward God, and whatever I am today, of course, is because of God. But in the corner of my heart, I have questions and doubts. What can I do to restore my faith? Well, the nice thing about God is He doesn't mind questions. There's no place where God says, never ask me anything. Never question, never ask, thou shalt have no questions. God doesn't say that. God doesn't say you must take everything I say just because I say it. Never question, never wonder, never ask. In fact, the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita are scriptures rooted in questions, rooted in dialogue. The Bhagavad Gita is full of Arjuna saying to Krishna, why? Explain, I don't understand. What about this? What about that? 700 verses of questions. The Upanishads are full of questions. dialogues, questioning. So the first important part is, don't worry if you have questions. God's okay with your questions. It's fine to have them. It's even fine to have doubts. Again, there's nothing that says thou shalt never have a doubt. Thou shalt turn off your rational mind. There's nothing in our scriptures that says that. Faith is not something God needs. Faith is something we need. The doubts don't bother God. You know, it's like if you've ever had an argument with someone where you absolutely know you're right. And I don't mean those sorts where everybody thinks they're right, but an argument where actually there is an objective correctness. It's a mathematical problem. It's something about the past that all you've got to do is go back and check. It's an address. It's a phone number. It's, these sorts of things that really do have right and wrong. Well, if you've ever been in an argument with someone about something like that is provable, and you know you're right, but the other person just won't listen, it doesn't usually bother you because you know, well, at the end of the day, eventually they're going to realize I'm right. Like all the facts are there, whether for 10 minutes or 10 hours or 10 days. They think that they're right. They're going to realize. And I think in the same way God feels, they'll realize eventually, if not this life, next life. If not next life, the life after that. But see, the universe is infinitely patient. And so there isn't an agenda, you must believe it right now. So the doubts, I don't think, bother God. God gave us brains that think rationally. I mean, if God had wanted us not to use our rational brains, we wouldn't have them. We've been given minds that question. And I actually believe that everything God has given us is on purpose. So I don't think that our doubts bother God at all. But they hurt us a lot. Because the doubts keep us from being close to God. And so if your faith is shaken, what you need to ask yourself is, what have I expected from God, from the universe, that I'm not getting? That's what shakes our faith. I've got an expectation that if I'm a good person and I do my puja and my prayers and my mantra, I'm going to get the job I want. I'm going to be the one to get the promotion. The stock market's going to go in my favor. When I'm late for work because I overslept and I get in the car, there won't be any traffic. We have this sort of expectation from the universe. When we identify as good people, especially spiritual people, who are doing things to make God happy, right? We think, well, I'm doing a yagna, God will be happy. I'm doing puja, God will be happy. I'm chanting my mantra, God will be happy. God doesn't need these things. Not your rice, not your milk, not your ghee. We do all of those to reconnect us back to the divine. When we're not sitting in puja, when we're not meditating, when we're not in the temple, chances are we're not thinking about God. Chances are we're thinking about the stock market, or what we're going to buy, or what we're going to have for dinner, or how we're going to get someone in bed. We do puja and meditation and rituals to connect us, but not as a bargaining chip to God. And so when we have these expectations and they're not fulfilled, we tend to lose faith. Right? I was just saying the other night, the universe is not a vending machine. But we think of it as that. I put in my metaphoric money. I've done my puja, I've done my abhishek, I've done my mantra. And I push the button and what I want should come out. And when it doesn't, then we think that the vending machine of God is broken. And we lose faith. I've always prayed to God, why did I lose my mother, my father, my child, my job? But that's not what God promises us. God doesn't say, come to me and I'll make you CEO of a company or president of a company. God doesn't say, come to me and you'll be the richest guy on the block. God says, come to me. And your suffering, your ignorance, will disappear. Come to me. And that sense of aloneness, that sense of fear, that stress, that running after illusions, you'll be free of that. Come to me, and you'll know who you are. This is what God promises us. But our faith tends to get shaken when we're thinking of God as a vending machine. So if you find yourself with shaken faith, simply ask yourself, first of all, again, doubts, fine, have them as long as you need them. God will be patient. Questions, ask as many as you want. See if you can outdo Arjun. No problem. Have your own Upanishad. No problem. With your own questions, your own conversation, no problem. But if you find that beyond that your faith is still shaken, ask yourself, what was I expecting that didn't happen? What bargaining chip did I think I had with God that I was let down in? And when you realize that, then you're going to see where you lost your faith. And then you get to choose whether you want to go back to a connection with faith in a God who may not give you the job, or the spouse, or the child, or the health, or the wealth, but who will give you simply God's presence. And if that's something you want, then you turn back to God. And if not, well, as I said, the universe is very patient. At some point in one of your future incarnations, you will be more inclined. Are there any questions that anyone here has? Yes. He'll just bring you the mic.
Yeah, whatever you said is right, basically, right? You connect with the God, and then you do not have to connect with money and all the whatever it attract you.
माइक अपने मुंह से
Okay,
थोड़ा
okay,
सा दूर रखिएगा क्योंकि
okay.
वो
Okay, but would like to know what is the fact of the life? Basically, like the fact of the law is that Newton's invented that if something drops out from above, like apple drops out, then it comes to the earth. That's the gravitation law. So what is the fact of the light after our death? Okay, like we connected to the God, but there is some afraid in our mind. What will happen is going to be there after death. How do we ensure our life after death? Whether we can free from birth and death, or we have to reborn and then we have to again go for the karma. Like if we have to again go for the karma, then we have to be very careful whatever we do in this life,
yeah
because we have to again go for the cause and effect cycle. Then what we do basically, if we
okay
have to dependent on the cause and effect life, then every time whatever we do, we have something in our mind whether we are doing right or wrong.
okay
Right.
I got it
Yeah. Thank you.
wonderful so his mic was a little garbled so I'll just repeat the question especially for our family joining us online. He's asking about the fact of life. What is the fact of life? What is the fact of life after life? Do we have to keep coming back and doing this all over again? This karma, do we have to keep experiencing it? Because he said, well, if we're going to have to keep doing it, then we better be really careful. But how do we make sure that we have a life after death? Or do we have a life after death? And how do we deal with this whole cycle? So, and the last thing he said that I loved was, he said, is it all just cause and effect? And we're all sort of victims of this cause and effect that we don't have free will over. You are the cause. Yes, there's cause and effect, but we're not victims of that. We're the creators of that. It's like, I have here a glass of water, right? So, karma means action. That is what we'll call cause. It's the action. The karmic fruits are the effect of that action. Now, if I take this water and I pour it on my sari, well, the cause was me pouring water. The effect is my leg is all wet. Feels nice in this weather. It would have felt not so nice a few months ago. But I'm not a victim of that. I did it. Now, some of the actions may not seem like they're so direct. Maybe I'm sitting here. I didn't pour the water on me, but as I'm sitting here, let's say it's the rainy season, and suddenly my roof starts to leak, and then my leg is wet because the roof is leaking. So the effect is still the wet leg. And the cause, we might say, well, I'm just a victim. Matlab, I was just sitting here. But if I go back enough, I'll see, yeah, I remember that contractor who came. He gave me a bill for 5 lakhs, but I decided that I really only wanted to pay him 2 lakhs. So from the beginning, I started cutting everything. As we went along the way, I just kept cutting his bill and only giving him, a third of what he asked for. So naturally, the guy did a sloppy job. Naturally, my roof now leaks. Naturally, I am now wet. We're still not victims. But there's a third aspect. The third aspect is I hired a great contractor. I paid him beautifully. He did a wonderful job. But at the same time that it was raining, there was an earthquake. And in the earthquake, the roof cracked. And as the roof cracked, the rain came down. And I got wet. Well, that isn't anything that I did, per se. But karma gives us, the fruit of karma gives us, not only the immediate or short-term fruits. We've got three aspects of karma. I won't go into the details of all of it now, but we've got our long-term karma, short-term karma, immediate karma. So we've dealt with immediate, we've dealt with short-term. Now what about the long-term karma? So I may have no recollection, no memory of anything connected to this roof, this experience, and I may never have done anything connected to it. But at some point in my past, some action connected like a thread. They're not individual cause-effect. It's not like one boomerang after another. We're talking about threads in a tapestry. My life is a tapestry, and the tapestry is made up of threads. Some threads are those I've woven right now, like pouring water on my clothes, or saying something mean to someone else. If you want to watch, immediate karma, go home and be mean to your spouse. You'll enjoy a night on the couch. Immediate karma. Right? You could almost plan it in advance. But then we've got these threads that have been woven from earlier this life, past lives that ended up making us be born in a certain situation in this life that was most conducive to our awakening. And that's the key point, is karma is not punitive. It's not about rewards and punishments, good and bad. It's, on the one hand, about simple, natural effect. You plant an apple seed, you get an apple tree. It's neither good nor bad. It just is. But then we've also got us receiving that which we need in this moment to walk closer to our destination. God realization, self-realization, enlightenment, awakening, moksha, whatever word you use. So most importantly, you are not the victim. That's the key. The second piece, though, is what you do right now. I always say today is the of that which is predestined for you tomorrow. When we think of destiny, we think about it as though somehow it were written thousands of years ago somewhere in the sky. Yeah, things are predetermined because we've predetermined them. If I don't study for an exam and I go out and get drunk the night before and stay awake all night and I'm hungover, you could say it's pretty predestined that I'm going to fail that exam. Not because God is after me or doesn't love me or my stars aren't in the right place, but because I actually created the of my destiny of failing that exam. Our next life is based on that which we're doing now. Now is the of later this life and next life. But lastly, here's the piece. When you say, do we have to keep doing it? Well, we're told that ultimately the goal is moksha, freedom from this cycle of birth and death. And yet, it's not the body that keeps us stuck. It's the mind. And so the idea that simply by dropping the body, suddenly you would have moksha, that's not true. Until we are free in the mind, we'll just keep getting new bodies. The ultimate goal is freedom in the mind, freedom from the mind. That's the aim, is how do I get free of the games of my mind, the anger, the grudges, the unfulfillable expectations, the attachments, the ignorance, the identification, the false identification with the body, with my role. When I get free of that, then the body just becomes a gift. Then we're no longer looking to be free of it. Then the body is just a gift to be able to interact with all of this beautiful creation. So it's no longer a burden. It's a gift. So don't worry about having to keep doing it. You will have to keep doing it if you don't free yourself in the mind. And once you free yourself in the mind, you're free right now. So worry about now. And then tomorrow will take care of itself. And after you die, it'll take care of itself. But if you don't take care of the mind now, you're already in hell. You don't have to wait for death to go to hell. You're already in hell. If you're in the hell of your own grudges and your own jealousy and your own games, well, you're living in hell anyway. So we create heaven right here, right now. And then tomorrow will take care of itself. Wonderful. Beautiful. I'm so glad. We'll end here. I know it's a little shorter than usual, but we started so late. But we'll go back to our normal time from tomorrow. And I hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. A beautiful morning and day to all of our family joining us online on so many channels, and so much love to you all.